Well, 5 years. It's been 5 years since the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan. There are still major questions about what happened to billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars. Now a new review is trying to separate what was actually spent inside of Afghanistan from the much bigger numbers often cited in Washington, D.C. Joining us now to discuss is a deputy public policy editor for OpenTheBooks.com. We have Rachel O'Brien. Such an interesting story. We're still talking about it this many years later, talking about the money trail involved with all this. Nearly $21 billion is often cited as the amount of federal funding sent to Afghanistan since the 2021 withdrawal. Your review found that that number doesn't really tell the whole story. What are we missing here?
Yeah, we wanted to go back and see if we could get a full accounting of what has been spent. And yeah, that figure, that almost $21 billion is cited often in congressional testimony, government reports, and in news stories. But it's not accurate to say that almost $21 billion was sent to Afghanistan after the Taliban returned to power. This is what we're talking about in 2021. It appears only as little as about $3 billion made its way into Afghanistan for humanitarian and development programs. So much of the $21 billion we talk about for Afghanistan, that was actually spent inside the U.S. By the U.S., $8.7 billion to resettle Afghan evacuees, $5 billion more to support other evacuation operations, and $3.5 billion more still in frozen funds in Afghan central bank reserves that remain outside Afghanistan. So we're trying to follow the dollars that did make its way into Afghanistan. It's difficult. Many of the organizations that were responsible for distributing humanitarian assistance, they don't give a complete itemized accounting. So it's unclear exactly where all that money has gone.
So you're saying only $3 billion actually made it inside for humanitarian needs. So your review of Afghanistan, the spending there, was there fraud there? I mean, why only $3 billion? What's the case? Or was it a lack of accounting? What happened here?
Yeah, so we looked through, since 2021, the reports issued by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, SIGAR, right? So their whole job was to do these forensic audits of how this money was spent. So there is a lack of public accounting for how the taxpayer dollars were spent, how they moved through the humanitarian aid system. They didn't just go from the United States to one organization. They went to the UN, or they went to other NGOs, and then they went to other subcontractors after that. So we do know federal auditors have confirmed that about $11 million in payments did make their way to Taliban-controlled entities.
How much did you say? How much?
11 million of that.
Okay.
There's possibly more, but again, these aid organizations and federal auditors can't always quantify where the money went. So it's unclear. Again, UN, UNICEF, they administered programs for food, water, shelter, medical care in Afghanistan, but you sort of lose track of the money after a while.
You know, I remember it was hard to lose track of with all that equipment that was left behind. It was such a big deal when it happened back in 2021. Estimated somewhere around $7 billion worth of military equipment was left behind in Afghanistan. Will we ever know for sure how much was sent to Afghanistan since there? What will we find out?
Likely we won't, because, you know, the best source of information was this Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction. It's now dissolved as of January. And so there's no more independent reporting on this Afghanistan spending. That estimated $7 billion worth of military equipment, we will never have clarity on that, I don't think, right? So 5 years after withdrawal, we do have many questions that can be answered with confidence, but others can't because the public record just remains incomplete.
All right. Deputy Public Policy Editor for OpenTheBooks.com, Rachel O'Brien, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Angela.